Folorunso Alakija is one of the wealthiest women in the world, valued today at about $2.5 billion. Her history dates back 6 decades ago. Her story didn't begin with power, it began with a fight. At a critical moment in her journey, the federal government of Nigeria took back the very oil asset that was meant to define her breakthrough. What should have been her rise almost became her end. Many would have stayed down, many would have walked away, but she didn't. She rose, she fought, and little did she know that battle would not only restore her dream, but would go on to reshape the possibilities for women in business across the world. Folorunso Alakija was born in Ikorodu, Lagos State, Nigeria on the 15th of July, 1951. She was born into the large household of Chief L.A. Ogbara, a powerful and dynamic businessman from Ikorodu who traded in textiles, leather sandals, stockfish, and various goods across multiple industries. Chief Ogbara was no ordinary man. He was a builder, a hustler in the truest sense, a man who moved with ambition and lived large. So large, in fact, that he had 8 wives and 52 children. Folorunso's mother was the first wife, a fabric merchant, a woman of trade in her own right, and Folorunso was his second surviving child. Growing up in that massive household was not always easy. In her own words, she once confessed, "I thought he hated me," speaking of her father and the difficulty of finding love and attention in such a crowded home. And yet, she watched both parents work, build and create, and without knowing it, every single day was shaping her. Her father, Chief Ogbara, lived long enough to witness his daughter rise to become the richest woman in Nigeria. He died in 2009. On the very same day, Barack Obama was inaugurated as the 44th President of the United States. A man who built a dynasty of 52 children lived to see one of them conquer the world. At just 7 years old, in 1958, little Folorunso and her younger sister Doyin were packed up and sent to the United Kingdom for their education. She attended the Northern School for Girls in Hafodunus Hall, Llangyrnu, Wales. Far from Ikorodu, far from her mother's fabric store, far from everything familiar. She stayed 4 years. When her parents felt the girls were at risk of losing their African values and culture, they called them back home. She returned to Nigeria and enrolled at Muslim High School in Sagamu, Ogun State, where she completed her secondary education. She dreamed of becoming a lawyer, but when she approached her father with that dream, he said no. He didn't believe a legal career was the right path for a girl. Instead, he sent her back to England, this time to study secretarial studies at Pitman Central College in London. Her dream was redirected. But Folorunso did not crumble. She bent, and then she grew back stronger. In 1974, she returned to Nigeria and began her career as a humble executive secretary at Sijuade Enterprises in Lagos. No empire, no title, just a desk, a typewriter, and a woman with fire in her belly. She later moved to the First National Bank of Chicago, which later became Finbank, now acquired by FCMB, where she rose through the ranks and worked her way up to head the Corporate Affairs Department at the International Merchant Bank of Nigeria. She was good. She was disciplined. But deep down, she knew she was not made for a corner office in someone else's building. In 1976, she married Modupe Alakija, a distinguished lawyer from the respected Adeyemo Alakija family, And together, they built a home and raised 4 sons: Dele, Ladi, Rotimi, and Folarin. Marriage gave her roots, but her wings were still waiting. In 1984, she made a bold decision. She walked away from the security of banking and went back to London, this time to study fashion design at the American College in London and the Central School of Fashion. 1 year, that's all she gave herself. She returned to Nigeria in 1985 with a needle, a dream, and nothing else, and set up Supreme Stitches out of a modest 3-bedroom apartment in Surulere, Lagos. There were no investors, no big launches, no glamour, just a woman stitching her way to greatness, one thread at a time. Within a year, Supreme Stitches had become one of the most talked about fashion labels in Nigeria. She dressed the elite. She dressed power. Her clients included former First Lady Mariam Babangida, wife of military head of state Ibrahim Babangida. She won Designer of the Year. The brand grew so big and so respected that she renamed it Rose of Sharon, House of Fashion, and it became a household name across Nigeria. She was later elected National President and lifelong trustee of the Fashion Designers Association of Nigeria, FADAN, using her platform to promote Nigerian culture through fashion on the world stage. But Folorunsho was not done. By the early 1990s, something bigger was stirring inside her. She incorporated FAMFA Limited in September 1991, and in May 1993, she applied for an oil prospecting license, OPL, from the Nigerian government. Nobody took her seriously. A fashion designer wanting to drill oil. In August 1993, against all odds, the license was granted. OPL 216, a 617,000-acre block located 220 miles southeast of Lagos, 70 miles offshore in the Agbami field of the central Niger Delta. She knew nothing about oil exploration, but she was not afraid of what she didn't know. In September 1996, she entered into a joint venture with Star Deep Water Petroleum Limited, a subsidiary of Texaco, transferring 40% of her stake to them as technical advisors while retaining 60% for herself through FAMFA Oil. In 1998, oil was discovered in the Agbami field. By 2008, the field became fully active, producing over 200,000 barrels of crude oil per day, one of the most prolific oil fields in Nigerian history. And then the government came. First, they claimed a 40% stake. Then they came back for another 10%. Just like that, they were trying to leave her with nothing but crumbs from her own table. The government's argument? That if the Alakija family kept the block, they would be making $10 million every single day. In Folorunsho's own words, "We felt like it was unfair. We had taken the sole risk and invested everything we had in the business. It had become a family business. We spent 6 years as a family to ensure this worked out, and now that it was bearing fruit." The federal government of Nigeria collected the oil well, but Folorunsho Alakija did not stay on the ground. She rose. She fought. For 12 long years, she stood in courtrooms, through changing governments, through pressure, through public doubt, and refused to be broken. And little did she know that this fight would not just win back her oil wells. It would change the face of women doing business in the world today. She won. The courts ruled in her favor, and the government was compelled to restore her full 60% shareholding in OPL 216. Today, Folorunsho Alakija sits atop a business empire that spans oil and gas through Famfa Oil Limited, fashion through Rose of Sharon House of Fashion, real estate through Dayspring Property Development Company, and printing through Digital Reality Prints Limited, all under the umbrella of the Rose of Sharon Group. Forbes listed her among the world's 100 most powerful women, and she was ranked Africa's richest woman with an estimated net worth of over $1 billion. In 2012, Forbes named her the richest black woman in the world, surpassing even Oprah Winfrey. In 2016, she became the first female chancellor of a public university in Nigeria and Sub-Saharan Africa, appointed at Osun State University. She owns a Lagos mansion valued at $700 million, a private Bombardier Global Express XRS jet worth $50 million, and a fleet of luxury vehicles. And through it all, she established the Rose of Sharon Foundation in 2008, pouring back into widows and orphans, the very people the world forgets, awarding nearly 9,000 scholarships and providing zero-interest loans to over 3,500 widows across Nigeria. From a little girl in a crowded Ikorodu household who felt her father didn't love her, to a secretary, to a fashion queen, to a billionaire who defeated the federal government of Nigeria in court,